We got our next comic. His name's Jason Visenberg. He's a stunt double for Mel Gibson. He's a Canadian, Israeli, American, Navajo, Apache, Swedish, Sudanese comedian. What the hell? Did your mom just like have orgies at the UN? His words, not mine. I just made most of it up. So, everybody, Jason Visenberg.
Just Canadian, Israeli, American. Don't get the other shit twisted. But being part of Canadian, Israeli, American puts me in a pretty exclusive group, the CIA. I don't know why they chose to entrust us with all this vital information to protecting the world, but they did. I think it's pretty bad, because being Canadian, I get my free health care, so you know I'm blabbing. I'm Jewish, of course I gotta shrink. He's hearing it. That's why pretty much the CIA can't keep everything a secret. They're depending on me and my brother. I think those are the only two CIA guys I know. But the interesting thing is my brother and I were always super competitive at everything. Like, in case you didn't know by looking at me, I'm obviously a basketball player, so we were very competitive at that back in the day. My parents wanted us to learn from the best. They took us to the best place, because that's the thing. You get the best coaching you can. So we started the Jewish Community Center in the Greater Toronto, Canada area. I don't know if you heard any players that came out of there, LeBron James, Tracy McGrady, Jason Visenberg. But yeah, no, basketball kind of ran in my family. My great-grandmother, she used to play power forward for the Warsaw Warriors. And then they used to play, after a while she moved to America, she got traded to the LA Clippers. The Clippers are very intimidating Jewish women. Unfortunately, they changed the name to a stupid little ship. I don't know why they did that, because to me, nothing is scarier than an elderly Jewish woman. My great-grandmother, she was 90 years old when I was a kid, and I was still physically intimidated that she could beat the shit out of me in a game of one-on-one. Like, these ladies are tough. My grandmother, when she was in the hospital, one of her friends came to visit her, she choked her. This is a friend. Imagine what she did to the people that came to visit her that she didn't like. But we played basketball a lot, and we were always competitive. We compete, even though we were 2 years apart, we competed in school, we competed in everything. But at one point, my parents decided they'd kind of separate us a bit. They did this kind of like science experiment thing. They did the city mouse and the country mouse. They took my brother, they moved him to a school downtown full of Jews. They took me, this was their experimental child. They took me and they moved me out to the suburbs to be in a school with a bunch of Italians. And they were going to see within 10 years which students would have more therapy needed. And I'm still winning. I never lose. But the thing is, I went to school with a bunch of Italians. Like, when I first came to that school in middle school, I had no idea, like, I knew Super Mario Brothers. That was about it. That was like my only like introduction to the Italian-American culture. But one of my first friends, he taught me something that was very like, that I still believe to this day, and people, Chris Brown needs to learn this shit too. This is abuse. This is discipline. Yeah, just remember that next time you're in some court situations. But they taught me a lot of interesting things. Another thing, you know, do you ever go to the gym and you have to go to a place after and you don't have enough time to shower? Anybody? Just me? Am I the one that ever got to the gym? Yeah. Italians developed a way to get around that. It's called the Italian shower. Go to the pharmacy, spray yourself up with some Axe, you're good to go. That's it. You're showered. You're ready. Put a little gel in the hair, put on your Adidas, some coppa, you're good to go. And the other thing that my friend used to do, he used to always have the coolest like electronics. The day it came out, he had it. The day, you know, everything, the Xbox, he had it. And I finally asked him one day, I go, how do you get all this cool stuff before it comes out? He goes, I don't know, my dad just said it fell off the back of the truck. So one day I finally get my driver's license. I'm driving to school. I see a truck. It's a Target truck. I'm thinking, something's gonna fall off this truck. Today's my day. 17 hours later, after like 8 missing phone calls from my parents thinking I was dead, no Xbox, I had to pay the $300. Bullshit. But the other thing we used to do at my school that I always found interesting was they did this, the teachers were too lazy to grade, so they had you do this peer editing, where you edit each other's work, so they didn't have to read it themselves. And at first I thought it was a great idea, because I used to watch a lot of those court shows on TV, and I thought, you know, if you're ever in trouble, it's going to be judged in front of a group of your peers. And I'm thinking, these are my peers. Great to know, like, you know, maybe they think similar to me. Little did I know, not so much. I'd write my paper, 10 pages, nicely typed, double spaced, everything needed. I'd trade with my good friend there, half a page, Kleenex, pencil crayon. Nothing, not even remotely on topic. He'd give me an A for his grade, I'd give him a D, and then he'd pay someone to write his paper at the last minute. He'd get an A, I'd get a D. Society just doesn't work. But the thing about school was, you always had to read like shit in English class. I hated that, I hated that. Has anyone read a Shakespeare book in their entire lives? Yeah. You actually have? Because I'll tell you this, I've been quizzed, I've been tested. I've written essays, I've given presentations to big groups that have claimed they've learned something from me. Never read a single book from front to back. What I would do is I would go into the book, I'd just flip around. Let's take Romeo and Juliet, for example. There's one, I think it's page 43, don't quote me. I'm flipping through and I find this line and Romeo goes to Juliet and he goes, "It's me." I take that, I quote that in my paper and then I go, "It's me." It's just like that episode of Seinfeld when he goes, "It's me." That's a big thing. That means they obviously were in love. Because basically I used Seinfeld to write all my papers in high school. But have you ever had to read this test of the D'Urbervilles? Not a damn Seinfeld thing in it. I was flipping through everything. I had the DVDs on hold, I was watching, I was flipping through while I was flipping through this book. Nothing. I handed in the paper, the teacher goes, "This was the worst essay I have ever read in my life." Little did he know, 2 years later, I'd be working for a United States Senator. Oh, and by the way, I wrote a speech for him. Cost of the election, but I wrote a speech for him. Seinfeld really didn't have much to say on today's political climate. He just really didn't. But I moved out to LA by myself, which for a lot of my Jewish people, they think that's weird. Like a lot of if I meet an Israeli here, they're like, "How can you not live with your family? How can you not live with your family?" But they still love me, they still support me, but it's funny, there's this one guy I work with, and he's an older guy. Every week, they've been cutting hours now because of the economy, so every week the schedule comes out, he's getting a little angrier. He's getting just a little more pissed off. He's going, "I have $200 in my savings account. I don't have any parents supporting me either." And he kind of looks at me, and all of a sudden I kind of go in my desk and I hide the picture of my parents holding me lovingly, put that off to the side, going, "Yeah, about that, yeah, that sucks." But the thing I miss most about home is probably my dogs. I'm talking about the woof woof, not the yeah boy. But yeah, I miss my dog because I never believed in reincarnation until I got my dog. My dog is a 3-year-old black lab in the body of a 75-year-old Floridian Jew. He came to us, we got him, he flunked out of CNI dog school. Yeah, people flunk out of that shit. It's not as easy as it looks on TV. He flunked out, his name is Mort, so he came pre-Jewish name to us. And the reason he flunked out was he had anxiety issues. Working was a little too stressful for him. So he spends most of his days sitting on the couch, and he's good. I love old people, my grandparents are old people, I hang out with them all the time. My favorite thing to do is sometimes if I'm out at a coffee shop or something, I see a bunch of old people, I just like to sit there and just listen with my tape recorder so I can laugh at all the shit they say. One of the funnier conversations I overheard was these old people going, "Do you ever watch Jeopardy?" I goes, "What?" He goes, "I think you need your ears checked." "What?" And he's talking about how on Jeopardy they don't actually show you the answer, they can't hear it, and they go, "How can they make those TVs so damn silent?" I'm like, "Turn up the volume, Gramps. Jesus Christ." It's like they can't, and then the other thing they hate every other culture except their own. Everyone needs to speak English. They're talking about if you go down to Koreatown, it's all in this jibber-jabbity Korean language. I don't know how they read those. A bunch of random symbols. I'm thinking, what is a language, you idiot? It's a bunch of random symbols. If you took someone from another country and made them read English, they think the same thing. But that's old people, that's just their way. They paved the way for us to be here today, so give it up for old people. Any old people? I don't want to point a finger though, there's always that cutoff period where it's kind of weird to call someone an old person. Like my dad's at that fringe point where I'm kind of like counting down the days till I send him to the home. He's kind of just right there, he's getting a discount at Denny's and I'm like, it's time to go soon, Yossi. I call him by his Israeli name, I like to do that. But my dad was Israeli, but he never did the army or anything. He moved to Canada by that point. But he always tries to be tough for me. He wants to be a good influence on me. So one day I remember the cop pulled him over. He got a parking ticket. He was speeding, and the cop pulls him over and he goes, "Watch this. I'm gonna handle this like a champ. You're gonna love me." The cop goes, "Sir, you were speeding." He goes, "I'm so sorry. I'm taking my son to basketball practice. You have to understand." And the cop's like, "Look, sir, you're embarrassing yourself in front of your child." And then he goes to me, the cop eventually lets him off. He goes, "See how I did that, Jason? Handled it like a man." Yeah, that was the last day I ever had respect for my dad. Lost a lot of it there. But yeah, I was a big basketball player. One of my favorite basketball players of all time played for my hometown Portland Trailblazers. There's a man by the name of Rasheed Wallace. Has anyone heard of him? This guy had his first kid when he was 13 years old. Yeah, he was a for bar mitzvah parties than I was, I'll tell you that much. God, I was getting my high school prom, none of that was going down. This guy's at bar mitzvah parties. And this other thing now, I went to a bar mitzvah a couple weeks ago for a cousin of mine, and have you ever heard of these Jonas Brother kids? Man, these kids got some attitude, I will tell you. They have this song called The Year 3000. The song goes a little something like this. It goes, I've been to the year 3000, not much has changed, but we live underwater. Yo, boys, pretty big goddamn change there. I'm going to the whole movie about it. But yeah, I'm a huge, in case you didn't notice as well, I'm a huge rap music fan. Yeah. Big into the rap music. I love it. And I remember one time I was performing at this like mixed event venue. It was like a military benefit, because you know, who better to show off to the military than this little guy right here. And I met this rapper, his name's Track Splitter. And he comes to me and I'm like, we're talking, you know, why we do what we do, and he goes, my goals are simple, kid. I'm gonna get rich, I'm gonna stay rich. I'm thinking, I'm Jewish, man. I'll be your accountant, Holmes. Peace out.